Why hasn't Big Auto caught up to Tesla? March 2, 2022. Prior to the rise of Tesla, conventional wisdom held that it would be practically impossible for a startup company to challenge the behemoths of Big Auto. When economics professors explained the concept of barriers to entry, the auto industry was usually example number one. Selling cars in volume requires not only massive industrial resources, but a highly complex supply chain and dealer network. So a startup couldn't possibly compete. Events have shown that model wasn't valid. Or perhaps it would be more accurate to say that it was no longer valid, considering the growing importance of software and technology in the auto industry. In retrospect, Tesla was in the right place at the right time with the right idea. Lithium-ion battery tech had just advanced to the point that a high-performance EV had become viable. The Tesla team wisely opted to build a sexy hot rod instead of a small, sensible gas saver. And perhaps most importantly of all, the company benefited from an amazing pool of talent and several enormous slices of good luck. All this explains Tesla's initial success with the Roadster, and later with Model S. But there's another conundrum that's still causing auto industry observers to scratch their figurative heads. Once Tesla had showed what was possible, why didn't Big Auto muscle its way into the EV space and bury the upstart? Even some of Tesla's founders expected that to happen within a few short years. Why did it take so long for the dinosaurs to notice the furry mammal scurrying under their feet? Why was the Roadrunner able to blacken the coyote's face with TNT so many times? How many pop culture metaphors must we journalists employ before someone comes up with a satisfactory answer to this important question? What does hydrodynamics have to do with cars? Well, let's consider force as a metaphor for EV market share. While mass stands for the amount of resources available and acceleration represents the speed at which an automaker develops its EV program. Obviously, the giant legacy automakers could bring a lot more force to bear on the problem of electrification. But Tesla has consistently applied much more acceleration. To be clear, the technical challenge of building a practical EV was never really the issue. GM's EV1 was no Model S, but it was a viable vehicle that could have been a good first step in an iterative process leading to a commercially viable product. However, GM elected to cancel the program and didn't work on EVs for a decade. Other legacy automakers have dithered at varying rates. By now, just about every one of them has brought at least one EV to market. And some of these have been excellent vehicles. Any of these firms could have done so much earlier, and much faster, had they chosen to devote more capital and technical expertise, both of which they had, and have, in plenty, to the problem. It wasn't the technical ability that was lacking. It was the motivation. The old line companies are like hulking Hummers creeping along the shoulder, with the driver's foot off the gas. Tesla is like a tiny roadster in the passing lane with the pedal to the metal. There's no physical reason that one or more of the more forward-looking automakers can't eventually rival Tesla's EV market share. They just need to step on the accelerator pedal. There are signs that at least a couple of them are getting ready to do so. VW, GM, Daimler, Hyundai and others are converting factories to EV production, securing supply chains, building out charging infrastructure, and diverting resources from yesteryear's technologies. Make no mistake, we love Tesla's vehicles. And whatever happens, they'll always have a certain mystique. But it's not healthy for the environment, the auto industry, or consumers. For one company to continue to dominate the EV market, it's time for the rest of the world's automakers to put the hammer down. Source reposted and summarized from Charles Morris at Evanex. My take: the problem is that the other OEMs do not have Elon. Without Elon, they do not have a chance. Tesla Inc.'s supply agreement with Australia's Core Lithium. March 2, 2022. Tesla entered into a legally binding term sheet agreement with Australian lithium producer Core Lithium. As per the agreement, Core Lithium will supply up to 110,000 tons of Li-2O spodumene concentrate to Tesla over a term of 4 years. Core Lithium is thrilled to have reached this agreement with Tesla and look forward to further growing this relationship in the years to come. Tesla is a world leader in electric vehicles, and its investment in offtake and interest in our expansion plans for downstream processing are very encouraging, said Core Lithium Managing Director Stephen Biggins. Core Lithium will supply lithium oxide spodumene concentrate from its Finniss lithium project near Darwin. the capital of Australia's Northern Territory. The project gained all NT government approvals and is fully funded after raising $116 million from institutional investors and shareholders. Core Lithium also signed a 4-year offtake agreement with Ganfeng, which agreed to provide $34 million in new equity subject to approvals from the Chinese government. Source reposted and summarized from Maria Morano at Tesla RT. My take: Tesla is getting all their ducks in a row for their big ramp up. Panasonic announces 4680 battery cell production in Japan. March 2, 2022. Panasonic has officially announced that its energy company will produce the new 4680 cylindrical lithium-ion batteries in Japan in order to expand its business globally. The company will establish a production facility at its Wakayama factory in western Japan to manufacture 4680 type battery cells, which were first unveiled in October 2021. The cells and manufacturing line are under development specifically at Tesla's request. However, there is a catch. Panasonic intends to start series production in the fiscal year ending in March 2024. Which means that it might happen between April 1, 2023 and March 31, 2024. That's from over 1 to more than 2 years from now. The Japanese supplier will build 2 production lines, but it did not reveal the investment amount or manufacturing output. The rumor, reported by Nikkei in January, mentioned an investment of $704 million and 10 gigawatt-hours. Year output. Source reposted and summarized from Mark Kane at Inside E. Versus S. My take: good for Panasonic. Why will it take so long to get going? Over 200 Tesla Model Ys were spotted at Giga Texas. March 2, 2022. Over 200 Model Ys were spotted at Giga Texas, maybe in preparation for first deliveries. According to the company, the vehicles made in Texas have a structural battery pack and 4680 battery cells. At the end of January 2022, Tesla said that it expects to receive final certificates soon before mass production of Model Y at Giga Texas. However, during this period, we have seen dozens of Model Ys produced at the factory near the building. And in some cases, some of them were transported on trailers from Giga Texas. Jeff Roberts spotted something interesting during the flyover of Giga Texas. Now more than 200 brand new Tesla Model Ys were parked outside on the south side of the factory. Previously, there were about 50 covered cars. But now their number has increased significantly. And most of the covers have been removed. Jeff captured 227 Model Ys in solid black and abyss blue multicoat, while 8 vehicles were still under cover. Source reposted and summarized from Eva Fox at Tasmanian. My take: I guess Texas and Germany are going to open at the same time. Both are ready to rock and roll.